Hi guys, okay, I must admit I do love Marvel, I do love the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I just saw the 18th installment of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's Black Panther. Was it good? Let's find out. Okay, so as always, I'm going to look at the facts of this movie, the positives, the negatives. I'm going to wrap it up with a bit of a score at the end. And if you're a parent and you want to find out if this movie is suitable for your children, stick around to the end and have a look at my parents section of this review. Okay, the facts. Black Panther is directed by Ryan Coogler. This guy's been a pretty impressive director so far. He has helmed a lot of critically acclaimed films, and now he's on board in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This movie stars Chadwick Boseman as the Black Panther. It also stars Michael B. Jordan, who's risen up in the last few years with Ryan Coogler movies. He is starring as the main villain in this movie, Eric Killmonger. And to be honest, I didn't recognize a lot of the rest of this cast. I know some of these stars have been in a few movies. I haven't learnt their names yet, but I have seen them in a couple of movies. A few of them have popped up in Star Wars. A few of them have popped up in other movies, but it's pretty safe to say that this is the movie where they'll get their starting credit from. People will say, oh, I know that person from Black Panther. One of my favorites, he's in a lot of movies lately, is Forrest Whitaker. He's still going strong. He's in this movie. And we have just a couple of cameos from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This movie, like I said, is the 18th installment of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is number 18. Over the last 10 years, they've pumped out 18 movies. I feel like the first half of this Marvel Cinematic Universe was just standard superhero movies. Superhero movies were a genre. In the last few years, however, they're starting to break away from the superhero genre. One of the movies last year, Spider-Man Homecoming, felt like a teenage movie with a superhero background. This one is not like any other superhero movie. This one feels like it's an espionage movie. It feels like it's a political movie. It just happens to be set in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and a superhero, being the Black Panther, just so happens to be the main star. So without giving too much away, this movie is set 1 week after the events in Civil War. So the King of Wakanda has died. The Black Panther has been chasing his killer. That's finished off. Now it's time to return home to his home country of Wakanda. He's pretty much going home because he needs to become king. His father has died, now it's his turn to become king. It should have been a smooth transition, but because of something that his father did a long time ago, it's not so smooth. Things start to happen and it gets a bit rocky. Like I said, this movie starts off as a espionage movie. It is a spy movie. You were introduced to new gadgets. We have a very James Bondy feel to it. We have the Q type of character from James Bond being his sister, which is a good relationship in this movie. She's pulling out all of his new toys and all the new technology that she's made so he can go on a mission. So the first kind of half of this movie, he is going on that mission that he has to try and track something down. It doesn't go according to plan, so he comes back to Wakanda. Then it feels like another movie has started. It's not a bad thing, it just feels like it's another movie. So in this part of the film, it feels more political. He's trying to figure out what his country should do to help other people. The problem is, no one knows that Wakanda is a very rich country. It is hidden in the mountains. So they really can't help people. If they start helping people, everyone around the world will say, how are you in a position to help people when you've got no money? So now it presents this problem. Do they help people with the wealth that they have, or do they keep their secret hidden from people and try and help in secret? This is the choice that Black Panther is trying to make. In comes the bad guy, and like all good bad guys, he thinks he's doing good, but realistically he's going about it the wrong way and he's actually doing more bad than good, and he just doesn't see that. So now our bad guy faces off against the good guy. They go across different countries, different continents, and pretty much throughout the movie it's a fight for power, political power for the country of Wakanda. So let's talk about the positives. This movie was really good. I really enjoyed this movie. It had a lot of style. The special effects were fantastic. The continent of Africa looked amazing. Once you got into Wakanda and you saw these bright colors, you saw the outfits of what the people were wearing up against the harsh landscape, it was a visual treat. The acting was strong in this movie. The performances by Chadwick Boseman, Michael B. Jordan, Andy Serkis, who played Claw, all were very strong characters. All are very strong actors, and they gave their all for these characters. They did a really good job in this film. There was comedy there. They brought in a few actors or a few characters that were just there for comedy. What was great about this movie is that there were laughs, but they didn't really force in the laughs. The laughs that they gave you were right on point, right in the right spots where you needed the most. But essentially, this movie was an action-packed movie. It felt like this is what they were really going for. They wanted action in almost every scene. So even when you didn't think there was going to be action, suddenly something happened and there was a massive fight scene and you weren't expecting it. The story that followed from the past movie, Civil War, up until this movie, it felt like a good progression. The bad guy's story was quite good as well. It felt like he had something real to settle. It felt like a real problem that a super villain would be trying to solve. And like I said earlier, the best kind of villain is the kind of villain that thinks he is doing good, but he's doing it in the wrong way. To be honest, there weren't that many negatives for me. I had to scratch my head to try and think of what was negative about this movie, and it was hard to come up with any negatives. The only thing I could really come up with was the reason that the villain went to Wakanda. I felt like he could have gone earlier. So without giving too much away, the villain has been working his whole life towards finding an opportunity to get to Wakanda. And a week prior to this movie, the King of Wakanda died, and it was his chance. But for some reason, he didn't go during that week. He decided to go a week later when it was more convenient for the movie. Unless I missed an important plot point, that seemed a little bit off for me. Why didn't he go to Wakanda a week before when he had more of an opportunity to do what he needed to get done? But other than that, I don't have too many negatives. I went into this movie and I was pretty impressed. So let's wrap it up. What did I think? For me, again, the story was pretty strong. Other than a few character choices, I felt like the story was a good story to tell. And especially right now in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the story for me is 9 out of 10. The acting, for me, the acting was fantastic, like I said earlier. Strong actors. These actors are young. You will know them from Black Panther the next time they're in a movie. You will say, that's the person from Black Panther. I give this acting a 10 out of 10. It was great. The special effects, they nailed this. There was a lot of special effects in there that you didn't really think they were special effects. It looked like they were filming in the continent of Africa in a real city. They pulled off some pretty difficult things. There was a waterfall scene, there's a mountain scene, there's scenes with animals, and they all looked real for me. For me, the special effects were 10 out of 10. There was not one point in the movie where I thought, that doesn't look real, that looks fake. For me, everything was beautiful there, so 10 out of 10 for visual effects. And the last category for me for Black Panther is this Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. Did it fit in well with the Marvel Cinematic Universe? For me, it did. It was a good time to bring out Black Panther. From Civil War going into Infinity War, this was a story that needed to be told, and it was the perfect time for the story to be told. So for me, being a movie inside of a larger universe, I would give that a 9 out of 10. The reason not 10 out of 10 is because I think a couple of things were just forced in there, like characters. So that's my review of the Black Panther. Have you seen it? Did you like it? Is there anything I missed? Did I miss anything important that maybe you don't agree with? So if you haven't yet, please subscribe so you can see more movie reviews and have fun watching movies. Okay, parents, do you think this movie is good for your children? So for me, it was a bit more intense than other Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. There was a lot of action in this. Because it is set in Africa and because it's very tribal based, there was a lot of spears going through chests, through body parts. There was not gory blood, but a little bit of blood. Obviously there's car crashes because there is a main car chase. There is a lot of punching, a lot of throwing, and a lot of kicking. But what really surprised me was the weapons going through skin and showing a little bit of blood. That's where I think that the younger children might struggle. There's a few little curse words that are pretty tame in my own mind, but I think kids will overlook that pretty easily. There was no focus on the words, and it felt a little bit natural. Thanks for watching.